Why does he do that? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men by Lundy Bancroft.
You know I love you, babe.
Whatever.
Just tell me what you want.
Soji, I want more than this. But there's a decent one.
Stop it now. Stop it now. I've told you, don't be saying her name around us. Don't let her taint our love.
Oh, please, you clearly still love her.
What? I'll fight with you. How many times have I told you, babe? What I feel for Adesua is obligation because of SJ. That's it. Chinasa, you are the best thing that ever happened to me.
Soji, please stop.
Oh. Okay, listen. Has there been any time where you asked me to do something or be somewhere and I didn't do it? You see? Look, babe, just tell me what you want. And if it's in my power, it's done. Forget Adesua. Don't mention that name again. My son more, my bad child. Babe, she doesn't matter. Only you matter. So, you're gonna stay tonight?
Maybe. But you said you'd do anything.
So tell me, what do you... This small thing. This small thing.
Ma, there seems to be another signature in your account. Is that correct?
Yes. So?
May I know who the other signature is, please?
No. Why?
Well, he came in yesterday and requested all the old money be moved to another account.
Soji? Soji? Where's my husband?
Madam, Oga travel.
What?
After you left this morning, I saw Oga with 2 suitcases and he's traveling.
Travel?
Yes.
Eh?
Ma, didn't you know? Madam.
Chapter 4. Types of Abusive Men. Here are some things abused women have said to Bancroft. I feel so bad for him. He's had a really hard life. I'm lucky to be with him. He could get any woman he wants. I'm really scared of what he may do to me someday. I shouldn't argue with him because I just come out feeling like an idiot. He's very sensitive. I shouldn't complain so much. He's doing the best he can. He says the reason he cheats on me so much is that he's a sex addict. The tactics and attitudes of abusers vary across the world, with different cultures focusing on specific areas of control and cruelty. Still, abuse doesn't vary that much. Bancroft says, quote, one man uses a little more of one ingredient and a little less of the other, but the overall flavor of the mistreatment has core similarities. Assaults on the woman's self-esteem, controlling behavior, undermining her independence, disrespect. End quote. Here are some common types of abuse. 1. The demand man. Expects his partner's life to revolve around meeting his needs and becomes angry when anything gets in the way. It's all take, take, take with him, no give. He's highly critical and criticizes her frequently. Nothing she ever does is good enough. He exaggerates and overvalues his own contributions. Is likely to be furious when you make demands of him. Don't ask him to do anything, e.g. housework. He can be less controlling than other abusers as long as he is getting his needs met on his terms. These are the central attitudes governing his behavior. Your job is to do things for me. You should not place demands on me and should be grateful for whatever I choose to give. I am above criticism. I am a very loving and giving partner. You're lucky to have me. Number 2. Mr. Right. He is the ultimate authority on every subject under the sun, including how you should live your life. He finds little value in your thoughts and opinions and seeks to empty your head of such opinions and replace them with his superior ideas. This kind of man speaks like his partner is in danger of her own idiocy and needs to be saved from herself. He is wise and you're stupid. When Mr. Right decides to take control of a conversation, he switches into his voice of truth, giving the definitive pronouncement on what is the correct answer or the proper outlook. Abuse counselors call this tactic defining reality. Over time, his tone of authority can cause his partner to doubt her own judgment and come to see herself as not very bright. The abuser wants her to doubt her mental abilities in this way so that he can control her better. His focus primarily is on telling his partner how to think. This is his area of control. His defense of this type of bullying usually is, I have strong opinions, or I like debating ideas. He isn't interested in debating ideas. He is interested in imposing his own. The central attitudes driving Mr. Right are, you should be in awe of my intelligence and should look up to me intellectually. Your opinions aren't worth listening to carefully or taking seriously. The fact that you sometimes disagree with me shows how sloppy your thinking is. If you would just accept that I know what's right, our relationship would go so much better. When you disagree with me, no matter how respectfully or meekly, that's mistreatment of me. If I put you down for long enough, someday you'll see. Number 3. The water torturer. The water torturer proves that you don't need anger to be present for abuse. He can assault his partner psychologically without even raising his voice. His tools include low-volume sarcasm, derision such as openly laughing at her, mimicking her voice, cruel remarks, and twisting things she said. He is relentless in his quiet derision and meanness. When the frustrated woman finally breaks and yells at him, he says, "See, you're the abusive one, not me." This abuse is difficult to identify, and so women in their struggle to understand what is happening can end up blaming themselves. This is worsened by the fact that the water torturer doesn't think there's anything unusual about his behavior. The emotional assaults can later escalate to low-level acts of violence such as shoving. Here's what Bancroft says, quote, "If you're involved with a water torturer, you may struggle for years trying to figure out what is happening. You may feel that you overreact to his behavior and that he isn't really so bad, but the effects of his control and contempt have crept up on you over the years. If you finally leave him, you may experience intense periods of delayed rage as you become conscious of how quietly but deathly oppressive he was." End quote. The central attitudes driving the water torturer are, you're crazy. You fly off the handle over nothing. I can easily convince other people that you're the one who is messed up. As long as I'm calm, you can't call anything I do abusive, no matter how cruel I am. I know exactly how to get under your skin. Number 4. The drill sergeant. This abuser runs his partner's life in every way he can. He controls her clothing, work, relationships. He may listen to her phone calls, read her emails, and even require the children to report on her activities when he is away. He is fanatically jealous and verbally attacks her with accusations of cheating or checking out other men and says things like, "All women are whores." Usually he's the one having affairs. It's not fidelity he cares about, but possession. He is almost certain to be physically violent sooner or later. Living this type of abuser is extra difficult because of all the ways he monitors his partner. It's difficult, but possible. So don't give up. The central attitudes driving the drill sergeant are, I need to control your every move or you will do it wrong. I know the exact way that everything should be done. You shouldn't have anyone else or anything else in your life besides me. I am going to watch you like a hawk to keep you from developing strength or independence. I love you more than anyone in the world, but you disgust me. Go figure. Number 5. Mr. Sensitive. This abuser is soft-spoken, gentle, uses the language of feelings, and openly shares his insecurities and fears. He cries, openly hugs other men, reads the self-help books, and may have gone to therapy and is familiar with that pop psychology language. He seems like a dream come true to many women. All this makes it difficult for people to believe he could be abusive. He has the potential to be as abusive as any other type. When he's violent, he'll find a way to blame you for wounding him so deeply that he had no choice, or blame some other emotional wound. Here's an example of what this dynamic may look like. You seem to be hurting his feelings constantly, though you aren't sure why, and he expects your attention to be focused endlessly on his emotional injuries. When your feelings are hurt, on the other hand, he insists on brushing it over quickly. With the passing of time, he increasingly casts the blame on you for anything he is dissatisfied with in his own life. Your burden of guilt keeps growing. He starts to exhibit a mean side that no one but you sees and may become threatening or intimidating. He plays up his softness and fragility to divert attention from all the distraction he's leaving in his wake. The central attitudes driving Mr. Sensitive are, I'm against the macho man, so I couldn't be abusive. As long as I use a lot of psychobabble, no one is going to believe that I am mistreating you. I can control you by analyzing how your mind and emotion works, what your issues are from childhood. I can get inside your head whether you want me there or not. Nothing in the world is more important than my feelings. Women should be grateful to me for not being like those other men. Number 5. The player. The player is usually good looking and sexy, or at least he thinks he is. You feel lucky to be with him and your self-esteem gets a boost. He seems largely interested in you sexually. Then he starts checking out and flirting with other women, even in your presence. He doesn't want to get serious or move in together because he's been hurt in the past and has a fear of commitment, or he's not ready. This abuser's satisfaction comes from exploiting women and feeling like a sexual animal. Women around him seem to get mad at each other, complete with physical confrontations, but never direct their ire at him. Either way, this man damages your relationship with other women, including friends and family, because his persistent flirtation leads you to perceive them as threats. Even if he denies it, he is very likely cheating. He's also usually irresponsible and callous in his dealing with his partner's feelings. His abuse can escalate to physical violence when he is confronted or caught in his infidelity. Bancroft says, quote, his promiscuity is a symptom of a deeper problem. He is incapable of taking women seriously as human beings rather than as playthings. With that mindset, he'll be a destructive partner whether he cheats or not. End quote. The central attitudes driving the player are, women were put on this earth to have sex with men, especially me. Women who want sex are too loose, and women who refuse sex are too uptight. It's not my fault that women find me irresistible. If you act like you need anything from me, I am going to ignore you. I'm in this relationship when it's convenient for me and when I feel like it. Women who want the non-sexual aspects of themselves appreciated are bitches. If you could meet my sexual needs, I wouldn't have to turn to other women. Number 6. Rambo. Rambo is aggressive with everyone, not just his partner. He gets a thrill out of intimidating people and has an exaggerated, stereotypical view of what a man is. Often he has a criminal past and grew up in a rough neighborhood. He has little patience for weakness, fragility, or indecision and enjoys the role of protector. He appears to lack fear and can make a woman feel safe and protected, which may be attractive to a woman who comes from a violent home. Bancroft says, quote, however, he lacks respect for women, and this disrespect, combined with his general violent tendencies, means that it is only a matter of time before he will be the one you need protection from. End quote. Always remember, quote, the danger signs are violence and intimidation towards anyone, and disrespect and superiority towards women. End quote. The central attitudes driving Rambo are strength and aggressiveness are good, compassion and conflict resolution are bad. Anything that could even remotely be associated with homosexuality, including walking away from possible violence or showing any fear or grief, has to be avoided at any cost. Femaleness and femininity, which he associates with homosexuality, are inferior. Women are here to serve men and be protected by them. Men should never hit women because it is unmanly to do so. However, exceptions to this rule can be made for my own partner if her behavior is bad enough. Men need to keep their women in line. You are a thing that belongs to me, akin to a trophy. Number 7, the victim. To hear him tell it, life has been unfair to him. He has been chronically underestimated, misunderstood, and even abused by a former partner. The victim and his heart-rending tales appeal to a woman's compassion. The woman starts to hate his abusive ex, even though most men who cry victim are usually the abuser. Bancroft says, quote, the great majority of men who make such claims are physical abusers. Ask him for as much detail as you can about the violent incidents and then try to talk to her, his ex, or seek out anyone else who could give you a different perspective on what happened. End quote. Second, quote, pay attention to how he talks and thinks about abused women. A genuine male victim tends to feel sympathy for abused women and support their cause. The victim, on the other hand, often says that women exaggerate or fabricate their claims of abuse, or insists that men are abused just as much as women are. End quote. Everything seems to revolve around his feelings. Oh, you don't understand him, don't appreciate him, you hold mistakes over his head. Usually, it's the other way around, and when you point out to him how distorted his statement is, he claims you're abusing him. And it's not just you. Everyone is always wronging him, including neighbors, friends, his boss, total strangers. Bancroft says, quote, when the victim joins an abuser group, his story tends to go like this. I put up with my partner's mistreatment of me for years, and I never fought back or even tried to defend myself. But I finally couldn't take it anymore, and I started to give her back a little taste of what she was doing to me. So now I've been labeled abusive. Women are allowed to do those things and nobody cares, but as soon as a man does it, he's a pariah. End quote. This line of reasoning many times develops into a discussion of how men are the victims of women overall in society because women run the world. This is a startling distortion given which gender actually dominates almost all legislatures, police departments, judgeships, businesses, and so on ad nauseum. The central attitudes driving the victim are, everybody has done me wrong, especially the women I've been involved with. When you accuse me of being abusive, you're joining the parade of people who have been cruel and unfair to me. It proves you're just like the rest. It is justifiable for me to do whatever I feel you're doing to me, and even make it quite a bit worse to make sure you get the message. Women who complain of mistreatment by men, such as relationship abuse or sexual harassment, are anti-male and out for blood. I've had it so hard that I'm not responsible for my actions. Number 8, the terrorist. This abuser stokes terror in his partner. He tends to be highly controlling and extremely demanding. His worst aspect is though he doesn't necessarily beat her, he reminds her that he could physically rip her to pieces or even kill her. Some abusers know how to terrorize their partners with threats, strange veiled statements, and bizarre behavior. The terrorist is sadistic and cruel, enjoying causing pain and fear in his partner. Bancroft gives chilling examples of such men. There's the one who'd glare at his wife while tapping his finger on the table, then say to his wife, "You have 6 months left. Things better shape up around here." She'd plead with him to tell her what he had planned, but he wouldn't, leaving her in terror. Another man cut out a newspaper article about a woman who had been murdered by her husband, then taped it on the refrigerator. In another case, when this woman told her partner she was leaving him, he responded by spilling the blood of an animal in front of their house. Another client would take out his gun when he was angry at his partner, but would insist that he was just going to clean it and that it had nothing to do with her. Unlike other abusers, the terrorist is likely to have been severely abused as a child. It's important for you to know that you cannot help him heal. Usually, the hope of helping him overcome his problems may be what gets you through the terror of living with him as you daily hope he'll get better. The terror of living with this man can make it difficult to even start thinking of ways to escape to safety, but it is possible. Women do manage to get out. The central attitudes driving the terrorist are: you have no right to defy me or leave me. Your life is in my hands. Women are evil and have to be kept terrorized to prevent that evil from coming forth. I would rather die than accept your right to independence. The children are one of the best tools I can use to make you fearful. Seeing you terrified is exciting and satisfying. 9. The mentally ill or addicted abuser. This isn't an independent category, since any of the other types of abusers can also have psychiatric or substance abuse problems. It's important to keep in mind that even when mental illness or addiction is a factor in the abuse, it is not the cause of a man's abuse of his partner. Substance abuse, like mental illness, does not cause partner abuse, though it can increase the risk of violence. In addition to the attitudes driving other types of abuses, these attitudes may also be present in an abuser with mental illness or a substance abuse problem. I am not responsible for my actions because of my psychological or substance problems. If you challenge me about my abusiveness, you're being mean to me, considering these other problems I have. It also shows that you don't understand my other problems. I'm not abusive, I'm just fill in the blank: alcoholic, drug addicted, manic depressive, an adult child of alcoholics, or whatever his condition may be. If you challenge me, it will trigger my addiction or mental illness, and you'll be responsible for what I do. In closing, here's what Bancroft says. Tremendous variation exists among abusive types. Your abusive partner may be of a type I haven't encountered yet, but that doesn't make him any less real. Many men are mixtures of different aspects. An abuser may change so much from day to day that he couldn't belong to any type. This style of abuser is so unpredictable that his partner can never make sense out of what she's living with. An abuser of any type can have days when he turns loving, attentive, and thoughtful. At these times, you may feel that his problem has finally gone away and that the relationship will return to its rosy beginning. However, abuse always comes back, eventually, unless the abuser has dealt with the abusiveness. There is help if you need it, and it's not your fault. Not a single bit of abuse is your fault. All fault lies with the abuser. And that marks the end of part 1. Thanks.